KSM show.
Hi people, my name is Charlotte Osei. I'm a lawyer and I used to chair the Electoral Commission and the National Commission for Civic Education. Keep watching the KSM show. He's the king of prime time.
We're back. And talking about the new normal and things changing, and hopefully the new normal and changes that are coming are going to clear some of the old stock that is not working, that you're looking for. What do you expect from the new normal? What do you hope to see in this new normal?
You see, when we were hit by COVID, of course we're all confused, we're all sad because we didn't quite understand what was going on. We didn't know how to deal with it. Today, stay at home, another day wear a mask. And then we're bombarded with so much information that it was just a state of confusion. The borders were closed. We were not happy about it. So many things happened that we were not happy about. But the question I kept asking myself was, here we are running an economy that relies heavily on importation. So I asked myself, assuming we couldn't import things for a long time,
what will happen?
What will we miss?
Yeah.
What will we rely on? Are we all going to stay here and die? I don't think so. Are we going to recognize finally some strengths we have? All the food we import, which of them can we grow here? How about medications? I was so happy to see that PPEs were being produced here. I was very, very excited about that. Okay, so I asked myself, so if this had continued and we didn't need so many dollars to import things that we can make, would that help us? So should we begin to think that way? So this is what I mean by that new normal, or one area of the new normal.
Okay.
If parents are now spending more time with their children, it can't be a bad thing. But the area that worried me was young parents with young children working from home. You know, how is the 4-year-old supposed to understand? Because every time you are home, you are not doing anything. And, they can climb all over your hair and so on. So how are they managing things? So what should engage us going forward in the corporate world about working from home? Okay. Isn't it about time we thought more thoroughly about childcare? And so on and so forth, assuming there were safe places for children to be. And even without COVID, a lot of parents are working from home, but it became worse. I also thought that in the new normal, we should have other thoughts about women.
Thoughts about women?
Yes. Because I thought that this COVID has affected them in more significant ways than their male counterparts. Let me explain. Really? Take our health workers. Most of them are nurses. The nurses are women. Take the teaching profession. A lot of women work there. Take people who process food, whether it's the palm nut to palm oil, or is the cassava to gari, or so. They tend to be women. See? How about people who sell food generally? And if you go to the restaurant and there's a chef with his cup at the back who you hardly see, there are the waiters, there are the cleaners, there are the receptionists to that facility. Most of them tend to be women. So what should we be paying attention to? We are hoping that COVID goes away. But until it does and after it does, shouldn't we begin to think of certain things in this country so that the new normal becomes more beneficial than a threat? Okay, but more importantly, I thought of our economy. And I said, so if you are cutting all your cocoa, let's say sending all your cocoa beans abroad and now you can't.
Yeah.
isn't it about time you sat down and asked yourself again, how will I survive in a situation like this? Okay?
Yeah.
So, you know, those were the things that were going through my mind.
You see a situation where, and I hear you, with a new normal, things we should be taking advantage of. Good example you just said, our cocoa that we take abroad. If we are now in a situation that we can't take it abroad anymore, what are we going to do?
You see, I'll begin with ordinary food. Look at the amount of food we import into this country. Name it. Look at the amount of, and we live in the best part of the world. We live in the tropics. It doesn't get better anywhere. So what is happening? So assuming you couldn't import that rice for 6 months, we'll all see how very important and nutritious cassava is.
You don't have a choice now.
You see? Yeah. There you go. And then maybe if we get our nutrition people also to help us to understand more of the nutritious benefits of our own produce, maybe we'll be affecting this in a certain way. If we started producing our own sugar, if we started helping our poultry people to expand their businesses and stop importing frozen poultry, you know, because you can't even import it anyway.
Yeah.
You know, so then you also realize, okay, how about the feed? So maybe we need to grow more corn or whatever the agri people will tell us. And I think all of this will even stimulate more jobs.
But are we doing it?
Yeah, we may not be doing it, but let's start thinking about it. Let's start talking about it. Let's start demonstrating that it is possible. Okay? So there's a process to getting to do it. So let's put that process in motion. But you see,
my worry, sorry for cutting you. My worry is that we have put the process in motion for a long time.
No, we
haven't.
No, yes, but we are not very serious about it. Because you see, if, for example, you are growing yam, you have to sit with a farmer or be on their farm on a sunny day to really appreciate the effort they put in. And if at the end of the day, you are going to import rice and it's cheaper, what message are you sending to this farmer of yam? So it's not that we haven't put the processes in motion. We have not taken some of our own things as seriously as we should. Some of the items we've produced in this country before. So it means you can go back and produce them. And if you don't do that, how are you going to assure the youth that they'll find jobs? Where? If all they are going to do is to carry the bags of rice from the ship to the truck for it to drive to a shop and be unpacked, I mean, what job is that?
But what does it change? What does it take to reset everything the way we are talking about?
I think we need a national conversation. We all need to, you see, we all need to agree on a certain path. I was very happy during our time, the 40-year plan that the development people were doing. And I keep saying that maybe that is one outstanding referendum we must have. We must have a plan for our country. We must have a plan that is sustainable. We must have a plan that everybody sees is beneficial to everybody. You know, in Nkrumah's time, he had the 7-year development plan. See what it did. So we've had all kinds of very good plans, but everyone wants their own plan. That too is not helping us too much.
But that's, unfortunately, is the reality we're dealing with now.
Yeah, but that reality should change. It should change because we need to do a very honest review of that reality and ask ourselves, is this reality helping us? Is this reality helping us? It's not like day or night that we cannot affect. It's not about the sun rising or not setting. That we know we can't affect, even though we are told someone was able to stop the sun, but maybe not forever. But there are things that we can affect because we have created them. And if we feel they are not working, we have every right to review to make them work better.
Yeah, we do have the right. The one of the questions is why haven't we, for example, you talk about 40-year development plan. It would have been great if any party or administration that was in power would come up with a 40-year plan, and everybody would have ownership for that plan. So even if the party changes, whoever comes in this, continue with the plan. But we don't do that. Every party after 4 years will have to come up with their own. How do we change it?
And that is our bane. And this is what must have caused the AU, the Africa Union, to come up to the Africa We Want 2063. And that was launched 2 years before the SDGs. What has made it easy for us to buy into the SDGs? Okay, so we have all these to work. We don't even have to start all over again. We have the Africa we want. I don't know how many of us have bothered to read the document, but we should. We also have the SDGs, all the many goals and all the many sections under them. But you see, that's 15 years. And Europe has a plan for all, the EU has a plan for all of EU. The Asians have one for all of Asians. America has one, South America has one. We are the only people. And so when AU did the 2063, I was very happy. Why don't we look at this? And it's so flexible, you can tease out things from it. And Ghana has made such progress. We have teased something out of 40 years. It's not for nothing that we quote these other Asian countries as look at their united plan. You just get a copy and read it, and then look at where each country is at in relation to that plan. Then maybe we'll see the need for this. Okay, and this is what I think will make the kind of economic advancement that you are looking for possible.
Thank you, guys. So let's look at the scenario that we finished the election and Jane and John. Jane and John have taken over.
J and J, yes.
J. J have taken over. What level of collaboration are we going to have between J and J? All these wonderful ideas that are coming, is it your ideas? Is it something that you hope that you're going to get your whole party to think? Is it?
What I have said is something that is out there. The Africa We Want 2063, I didn't produce it. It is there for all of us to read. But when you talk about collaboration, I'm here because he has had the courage to nominate me.
Okay.
So I am there to support. And just like in the ministry, you are also there to carry a certain vision, to continue with a certain dialogue, to make sure that we are all on the same page. So I don't want to put myself out as, having the solutions and nobody else does. No, everybody has something to offer. For somebody has better ideas. And we should hear everybody out. And finally, fashion what works in the best interest of the country, beginning with those who are in the margins. Okay? I think you should build the country from the bottom up. So you start with them, you bring and of course, those in the margins, the majority tend to be women. We also have our disabled, we also have our aged. Sometimes we forget them. They are very important. Okay, so you think about policies that make their lives easier. And then you come to the center. You don't begin with the center. You begin from the margins, It's like the ripple, when you drop the water, it ripples outwards. You know where you drop the stone, so you don't worry about that. You see how far the ripple gets, and that's where you need to begin. Yeah.
And you mentioned that you had the courage to nominate you. Well, this is the first time a major political party has nominated a woman, because I think Pastor Kwesi Ndum has done that a couple of times. Does that put additional pressure on you to look out for women? Do you think women have been sidelined? What's your whole position on what you represent for women, and how you hope to do what you plan to do?
Let me say that the very fact that we are not very visible always puts a lot of pressure on us. Okay? So you become the first woman vice chancellor. The whole country is watching to see whether you fail or whether you succeed. And if you fail, they say, yeah, you gave it to the women, they couldn't do it. We never use those yardsticks
For men.
Yeah. If they fail, maybe things went wrong and so on. But if a woman fails, then, it's all women. You see, that's not very fair. So yes, being in a position like that puts pressure on you. But you also know that it gives you hope. And it gives others hope. And the hope it gives others is that, so this is possible. The fact that it creates a possibility, I think, is very, very important. So it's almost like saying, if you put a disabled person in a position, then you should look over the problems and solve them of all disabled people. So the rest of them who are in positions of authority, whose problems are they solving? You see, so yes, I'm very much aware. So, and I think it calls into question a discussion of the whole subject of power and the exercise of power, and how we view this concept differently, whether it is exercised by males or females. When one gender exercises it, it may be seen as being firm and being strict and so on, and being disciplined. Another gender does same thing. And a whole lot of things, So I'm not saying that because of that you shouldn't just do the right thing. The rules are there, go by them. Because you see, the same public will judge you harshly for just being there and not doing anything because you are a woman. No, I don't think so. And if I say courage, I've used the word advisedly. As you yourself said, it's the first time a major political party has made such a nomination. And it has come from somebody who is not himself female. So, and I'm sure he's thought of all of these. I don't think it is something that he just did off the top of his head without really considering many things. Okay. And as you say, yes, maybe the women groups are not talking. So you need to find out those women's groups that are not talking, which women do they stand for? And I've had all kinds of letters, messages from many, many, many women's groups. And I want to use your medium. And I want to use your medium to thank all of them. I want to thank all of them for their support. And as I keep telling them, it shouldn't end with your letter. We should be seen to be working together in the interest of the younger group. Okay, and in the interest of our disabled persons, and in the interest of our aged, and actually in the interest of the whole country. When the results are good, the results will speak for themselves.
What's your own analysis of where women are now, and what can you do, or what do you intend to do or to change? Because there are people who say, but the women is not like we have institutionalized discriminating against women or anything like that. Women are free to do whatever they want. If you are complaining, who has stopped you from doing things you want to do? What's your take on that?
Simply because it's not in the law books doesn't mean it's not there. Why are we surprised it's a woman who has been nominated? That tells you a lot. You see, that alone, I think, will be enough answer. Yeah. If he had nominated a male, maybe we may not even be in your studio. You see? And maybe all the comments and the debates and so on may not even have arisen.
Yeah.
So that in itself tells you that we have some gaps. You see, we need to get to a level where we are not surprised by a top scientist being a woman, by a top surgeon being a woman, by a top academic in any discipline being a woman. The fact that we are not there tells you there are obstacles. So it's not about what they want. It's about providing an even playing field. And the comments that have come after my nomination shows very, very clearly that the field is still not even.
It's not even, yeah.
Okay? Yeah. So that tells you...
There's different set of rules.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. I mean, let's go back to the classroom. There's one of my former students, now a lecturer, of course, name withheld. And I like this girl because she was very active, she was, and every time she wants to contribute to the class, my classes were always interactive, always. So she wanted to contribute, and every time she spoke, the boys would try to shut her down. So we had to have a whole conversation on that, even at that level. So, of course, she became one of the people I mentored and so on and so forth. The rest, they say, is history. So it means that we have work to do. We should get to the level where such an announcement shouldn't surprise anyone, anybody. Just like the male announcements don't surprise anyone. We are not there yet.
Yeah, yeah.
So you see, there's work to do.
Plenty.
And so when you are nominated, and there's all this argument, and there's all these reactions, it tells you that you cannot be there for yourself. Because you know, as the men also know, and as we all know, that there are many, many qualified people. There are many people with dreams. There are many people with capabilities who also happen to be women. Okay? And the obstacles, we know them. We are talking about 13-year-olds becoming wives. How many 13-year-olds are becoming husbands? Why is that not the case? You see? Why, just drive through the streets and people hawking. Why do you see more girls than boys? I'm not saying it's a bad job. They are doing the best they can. All I'm saying is that, why is that the case? We went to Dodoa. We drove through the market. And I asked the women, so what happens when it rains? How many offices can't people work in when it rains? These things should be matters of concern to us. And I'll be very surprised if there's a single man who doesn't know the worth of women. I'll be very surprised.
Me too.
Whether it's our grandmothers or our mothers or our wives or our girlfriends or our sisters. And I'll also be surprised if there are many men who have daughters and they don't have big dreams for them. So it means that we should all work together, men and women. This is not a gender war. We all need to move together because, you see, if we are all living in a country where we don't even have control over how much people pay for our exports, and if we don't have control over how much we pay for our imports, then I don't think we need to be sitting talking about whether women are capable or not. We are all in a certain rut, and we need to move ourselves out of it. And no one gender is going to do it.
It has to be a collective thing.
Yes. And it was Plato who said a long time ago that if you ground the majority of your citizens in idyllic retirement, then you are going nowhere. Before it became very for people to say, oh, 50% of the, or 51% are women, and if you don't, it was said long, long, long ago. BC, I think 4 or so BC. So we have all this knowledge. What are we doing with it? You know, and our concern, we should also know that when we talk about women, there's something we have said, there's something we haven't said. We have our educational differences, class differences, access to land differences, access to resources differences. They're always the ones who go to the microcredits. When you are in the queue at the big banks, do you see the market women there? Why are they not there? What are we doing about that? Do we think we are going far as a country by doing this? So all I'm saying is that we shouldn't shut the door in the face of anyone simply because of the way the person was born. Okay, and we have in our history women who've done great things.
We do.
Yes.
We do.
And I'm not talking about as recent as our independence. How did we get here? No. I used to ask my students when they went home to ask their parents and to ask their Ebusuampenyin especially, why do they have that stuff? What do our festivals celebrate? Who are we? Then we will begin to have a new perspective on ourselves as Africans, as Ghanaians, as the people who have now become Ghanaians.
Show some love, man. Show some love. Well, if you're kind of worried about the time, don't worry. Today we have the KSM show extended version, man. We can't let the professor not come here and go within the same time that we give, you know. So we're going to take one last commercial break. When we come back, some more exciting things for the professor to answer. We'll be right back.
The KSM show.
Well, when it's party time, it's man wine time. If it's not party and it's just an outdooring, it's man wine time. Every time we get together, it's man wine time. Whether it's red or white, the name is man wine.
Therefore, say whoop wine and sata, me pacho pee, man family wine. I'm ranting me and sa free Stellenbosch, South Africa, ye nature wine. Red wine, I would only be any Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, and a Syrah. White wine and so, ebony Chardonnay, and a Chanel Blanc. Whoop will enjoy wine, yeah. Me pacho pee. White wine, no, 7 ice cold, and a red wine and so, maninya coca cra. Whoop patchy be dear more penny beer. Man family wine. Who ye party and a yen soa, and more rain free man family wine. Artist optional was Spintex Road in Crankwa, and a sole distributor ewo Ghana. At to phone for 020-811-0618, 059-261-1618, and now 020-816-1601. Man family wine, or Bia see ye. Nomninyan Samu, one too many power winning fear do watching, and Sessa painful num be. FDA, I should just say, a Jedian crat so much to me say a year.
This creek is 055-039-5007. This is the extended version of the KSM show. We have Professor Naana in there. By the way, you're also a writer. You write children's books. I think I was MC for an occasion, and they were writing some of the books you've written for children.
Yes, it's a collection of folk tales.
Collection of books, yeah.
Of folk tales.
Oh, folk tales. That's
yes.
right. That's
and
right.
actually,
that's right.
I didn't begin. The intention wasn't even to do books. When I looked at the books that children had access to in our bookshops when my children were little, I decided that, okay, reading all these books are important. Actually, it started when I was in Canada, and my oldest son attended daycare. He was just about 2+. So after all these Cinderella and so on, I thought, here's an African child.
Yeah, reading about.
Yeah, which is fine. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I thought that he needed more.
More.
So I started by telling him Anansesem.
Okay.
And I realized I didn't know as many Anansesem as I'd have wished. And you know, children, So sometimes I'll try to vary. They say, no, you told that story before. So tell another one. So I started asking my African friends to tell me their stories, their folk tales, and I write them down and I'll tell him.
Okay.
And actually they formed the first reading material he had.
Okay.
Yes.
It's a collection of like, what, 4 books?
5.
5 books?
Yes.
Fantastic.
So coming home, and a lot of I try to collect the tales, and when we had to travel, I'll record them. They had a Fisher Price tape recorder. So in the evening they could play so they could hear Mommy's voice. So it was for that purpose.
Okay.
Until much later when I was teaching African literature, and I said, no, we need to teach oral literature too. So as part of, again, another course I was teaching, research methodology, I sent the students to the field. And I said they should go and collect folk tales. And asked Ghanaians to say, come and see. They were so angry. When people are using computers, you are sending us back. But finally, it opened the door into research in African literatures at the department. And I was very happy, finally, about that. So
fantastic. I
started collecting, and they will read them, they'll be under their bed, we sweep them away. And then one day it just occurred to me that after all this field work, I should be putting these together. So that started the whole business. And I wanted a bedtime storybook. But then the publisher advised that it's too bulky, which child is going to hold this? So we need to break it. But someday, maybe I'll return to that idea.
Yeah.
And people ask me, so when are we going to get volume 6?
They're waiting.
So we'll see about that.
Fantastic. I wonder why you find time to write children's books. I mean,
you see, a lot of the things, you may not necessarily have to schedule times. Sometimes you have to. Sometimes you have to.
Yeah.
But I find writing healing of sorts. I like to write, whether it's papers I'm writing, whether it's stories, whatever. But I'll not describe myself as a novelist. I'll not describe myself as a poet or dramatist or anything, or any such category of writing.
Okay.
But
and your family, you have how many kids?
Yes, I have 3 adorable children.
3 adorable children.
I have nieces, I have nephews, they are all my children.
They are all your children.
They are all my children.
And now you have become a bigger figure.
It's interesting because I remember when I was a child, I told my mother that when I grow up, I'll have many children. Now, I will never forget the look she gave me, like, your mind, there's something wrong with you. But now I have my students, I have, God willing, I've had my biological children, I have my nieces, I have my younger colleagues. I mean, I think that dream has come through. I have many children. And yes, I have 3 children I'm very proud of. They're
all smart academics like their mom?
You see, they drive themselves. I remember when they went to graduate school and people were saying, so is it because you have a PhD, their father has a PhD? And I said, my mother didn't have a PhD. If they want to have PhDs, they should work for them. If that's what they want. And I believe that as a parent, when you notice where your child is going, you just give the child support. I've been on many schools and boards of schools, and every PTA, I'm there to tell the parents only one thing. Don't force your child into any profession. Don't say because I'm academic, you should become an academic. Maybe that's not his line. Don't say because I'm a doctor, you should become a doctor. Maybe your child is going to become a good architect or is going to become a good whatever. So just support them, give them the confidence, and they'll end where they need to end.
That's great. It reminds me of what my father always used to say. My father said, you cannot develop your child, you can only guide your child to develop.
Because you see, in the end, you are not going to lead your child's life for them. You can't, and you shouldn't.
Now, how do you relax?
I'm relaxed now.
You're relaxed now?
But seriously, I like to read
Oh, really?
I love
Okay.
to read. I love to cook.
What's your favorite dish that you cook?
Oh, I like to cook anything. So I like to try dishes. And I think my daughter has picked it from me.
Oh,
so
really?
she can do, there's very little she can't do for herself.
Wow. Wow.
And I think all of these, they are creative things and they release tension and you just like the end product and others also benefit from the end product.
And my last question, I promise myself, if I'll stick to it, is say J&J become a reality and you are the first female vice president of the Republic of Ghana. What would be that message you're sending to the nation?
I think it's what it symbolizes.
Okay.
More than anything. What it symbolizes that other doors can be opened to girls and women. That for me will be the most important point at all.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
That we don't necessarily have to hold ourselves back, especially if what we are doing is helpful. We should only hold ourselves back, men and women. Men too, if we know that what we are doing is not helpful to people, it's not helpful to society. Yes.
Okay, man. Show some love, man. A beautiful extended version of the KSM show featuring the first female vice presidential candidate for a major party in this country. And my last. All I'm saying, if you should be the vice president, I want your first appearance on this show. Better come in time. Folks, thank you all, and first of all, thank you so much for honoring our invitation, and thanks to Mawena, see your manager or your minder or
Actually, I wish I had a minder. My spokesperson.
She's a spokesperson. Well, thank you very much.
Let me also thank you. Thank your crew, everyone who is watching, and ask for their support, ask for their involvement in advancing the cause of our women, in advancing the cause of our disabled, our aged, all our people in the margins. Thank you very much.
Thank you too. Such a lot, man. Such a lot, man. And by the way, next week, that's not on the Sunday show. Next week we have Dr. Dele, who just celebrated 50 years in medical practice.
Oh, wow.
He'll be our guest next week. So make sure you tune in next week. But this week we give our thanks to Prof for joining us and blessing us with your presence on the stage. Okay, folks. Yeah. My last one. I want to make history here and ask Professor Naana to sign off for me.
All right. I want to thank you, as I've done, to all the people who are listening, to all of us. Let us continue to build even a more inclusive society, a society where everybody feels at home, feels they belong, and are poised to give their best. Nothing short of that. Thank you very much.
Poised to give the best. And on that note, we are here.